All right, Grady Polcyn here, Family First Life America. So excited to have Mr. Zach Twardowski in the office today. He is a 3-time Hall of Fame producer. It means in 3 subsequent years, he protected over 400 families, if not, the reality was nearly 700 families each year in a row. And throughout that exact same time, while leading his team in production, he was actively recruiting and putting people in a better financial position by introducing them to Family First Life. Zach is the youngest Integrity partner with Integrity from Family First Life, and across the board, I think the majority of them aren't anywhere near your age bracket as it is. So it's beyond exciting to have him to break new ground and to lead by example for so many of our young agents to follow, and just become a great business partner, great young mentor in discipline, and also a great friend over the years. So beyond excited to have
thanks for having me.
Have Zach in here today. So we got it right. We got it right, bro. So how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. I missed the suit memo, but it's all good, dude. I got the Humble and Hungry shirt on, so
you look great. You look. Yep. I think if the two items I wear, I was going out to dinner the other night with Chantal, and all I had was FFL shirts and suits and shirts, and I was like, which do I wear? She's like, well, it's kind of like a fast casual place. I was like, all right, the t-shirt, I guess it is. So.
I figured we're in Arizona. It was snowing when I left. I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy the weather here. So I'm just.
That's right, man. We're happy to have you here.
All good.
So you have, let me be sarcastic. You have an extensive family history of insurance brokerages and agencies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, sarcasm. I'd love for you if you'd kind of, dig in, tell us your background, how you found the life insurance business, and then sort of the transition you made into working with this. Because a lot of people, I think, are out there at a precipice or a point in their life. And even here who have already put their foot in the pool but not ready to jump in completely, that is this something that I should really commit to? Is this something that I can really trust? Is FFL going to be here for me long term? Is insurance something that I should really plant my flag in and give it my all and burn the ships, as they say, and give it my everything, because I could do this or I could do that, or my heart maybe lie over here? And I think that's a challenge for a lot of people. And I know there's probably no one more who's arrived at a higher level than you that had been pulled in different directions early on before you made the jump. And I'd love for you to kind of talk through that process and how we've arrived to where we are today.
Yeah. So I graduated college in 2017. My wife and I, it was girlfriend at the time, wife now, and I both had gotten into medical school. She's in medical school now. We took 2 years off. We deferred enrollment for 2 years. And she we moved to Charleston, South Carolina from Boulder, Colorado, which was a big shift. It's completely different. There couldn't be 2 more different places in the entire world. We moved out there. She did this program called Teach for America, where it's like, we've always been big into service. It's like kind of like Peace Corps for teachers.
Okay.
They put you in schools where they can't get enough people to teach at. So we moved down there. I accepted a medical sales job initially, and with the intention of going back to school. I don't know if I've told you this story or not, but I met with the guy. We were doing our onboarding stuff, and he was like, this is your base salary. This is what you could make plus commission. Like, this is what you're capped at. Okay. And I asked him, I was like, well, what if I, do better than these metrics you've laid out here? And he just laughed at me. And I was like, maybe I was just 22 and just fired up and kind of all over the place still, but I was like, cool, I quit. And I was like, that was stupid because I don't have a job now. So, and we just moved to South Carolina, and she's not making enough as a teacher to pay for anything, because they paid, South Carolina is like one of the lowest states that pays teachers.
Got it.
So I was like, oh, that sucks. Well, I got to find a job now. So I was on job boards, and I found something about Family First Life. I did a bunch of research on it. And then I just found someone local there and was like, hey, I saw this, I want to work here. And she's like, do you have your license? I'm like, yep, I have my driver's license, ready to go. And she was like, her name's Athena. She's like, no, you need to get insurance license. So I got my insurance license at that point, Grady, with really the intention of making enough money for a couple years to when I went back to school to not have to take as much in loans. And dude, I was a little bit embarrassed at the beginning because my dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse practitioner. My wife's in medical school. Her twin sister's in medical school. My little sister's in medical school. I have like 4 uncles that are all doctors too. So wow. I was like, man, I don't want to tell people I'm doing insurance. They're gonna think I'm crazy, And so I didn't tell anyone for a little bit. And then I really fell in love with going out, helping families, and being in total control of how much you make or don't make based on the effort you put in. And I was still helping people, which is ultimately what I always wanted to do. And I remember I had a conversation with my dad, and I didn't want to have it because I thought he would be like, no, you need to go to medical school. Like, my son's a loser. What are you doing? Right? Like, I thought that's how the conversation was going to go. And he was like, dude, if you're he didn't say dude because he's a grown man, but he said he said if you're only going to go back to medical school for the money, you shouldn't do it. It's not worth it. You should do something you love doing. So then I decided I was going to do this full time, and that was probably a year. It was after a year of being into this business and helping lots of families. At that point, I just was like, okay, I'm going to make this my career. And still from there, it took a couple years to start growing a business, but I just, it took me a little bit of time to get on board with it. But what I liked with it, liked a lot about it was I realized that I wasn't the most outgoing person. I'm not, like, if you give me the choice of being in a room of people or by myself, and a bunch of people I don't know or by myself, I choose by myself, right? I'm kind of an introvert. And I figured sales, you had to be like this outgoing, gregarious person in order to make sales work. But what I realized was with leads and certain word tracks you can learn and how to structure your days the right way, you can help a lot of families and sell a lot without being a really good salesperson. And so once that clicked for me, which took a long time because I'm stubborn, but once that clicked for me, it made me realize how easy it would be to scale a business doing this, because you didn't have to be an amazing salesperson to have success doing this. All it took was, a lot of hard work, grit, and a good attitude. And if you have those things, you make it work. If you don't, then it's not going to be a good fit for you. Once I realized that's when I started building a business. And I remember we talked at conference in, this was 2020, I think. That was in Vegas, right?
2019. No,
2020, yeah, because my team was helping about 150, 200 families a month in 2020. Okay. And we basically talked about it, and you're like, you really need to actually treat this. You need to either do it or don't do it, but you're kind of halfway in between, where you'll recruit some months, won't other months. You'll get everything you got for a little bit. You'll have staff. You won't train your staff. I just wasn't running like a business. And I remember we had a good talk then, and you're like, you should really just give this a year and go all out at it and give everything you got and see where you end up. And that was the year where the business really changed for us. So I appreciate your help there.
Hey, you got it, man. Appreciate you too. That's what's fun about this is as you progress, guys, you, and I don't want to say it this way, but you earn time with other people whom you want to earn time with, right? And not the like Zach or I or any special or anyone special, but like if someone comes to us and they're writing 7 families a month, they're like, I want to go to board member. And it's like, dude, you got a lot of things you got to fix first. Like, we got to get you to 20, 30, got to get you investing in staff. But that's the thing is you guys start to work. You earn the seat at this table, and this is a table that the door was closed, locked, cement wall, rebar reinforced for my entire life, until you find FFL and you go, okay, so the key to the kingdom here is I get enough leads, I dial the phone enough, I go protect enough families, I grow my skill set. As I'm having a lot of conversations with new agents, I kind of give them this adage. I go, okay, no disrespect to, in any way, shape, or form, to the military, right? But pretend you're at the bottom of a hill, and you have to get up over the hill to the freedom of the other side, or you're going to die. And if you don't get up over the hill, you're going to die. So what are we going to do? Well, what would you do? He's like, I do absolutely anything to get over the hill. I'm like, okay, so that's the mentality you have here in this business. Client says, I'm not interested. Perfect. I'm not interested either. I just need to drop the packet off. Client says, I need to think about it. Perfect. I need to think about it too. So do the insurance carriers. But my job is to get this information out to you and submit this request for coverage. That's what most people do. And once we submit this request for coverage, then they get to think about it, and then we get to decide after that. Right? So it's coming up with this mentality that I'm going to solve the solution in every way, shape, or form possible, and I'm not going to let some deterrent, trees, rain, snow, lose a boot, right, to keep me from getting to the top of that mountain. And that's the thing that I think people don't believe early on, is that it is 100% up to me. I have to decide if I'm going to become good enough or disciplined enough to earn success and ultimately a seat at the table of board member, senior board member, integrity, VP. Hey, you want to start a team of 10 agents? Then great, but you've got to become something that those 9 agents want to lean in and learn from. And I think that's something that you had early on at such a high level, which was just production. And it didn't take much to tweak, right? We both subscribed to this guy, Alex Hormozzi, which we're a big fan of. Yeah. And he talks about only recruiting killers, right? And the thought process of recruiting a killer, he goes, if I've got someone who could kind of do it, and they're a 2, and I spend 10 hours with them to get them to a 4, why not just find a killer who's a 6, and I spend time with them and get them to a 9?
Right.
And so that's a big thing as you guys are building with your business. How can you help push and cultivate and train and put people in a mindset who are killers, or being a killer yourself, where you're creating a culture of winning and doing and running and getting to the top of that mountain without any fear of anything? Because that's what it takes, right? I mean, I'm not here to berate and abuse and be any way, shape, or form with a lead, but they requested the coverage. I called them. they said come over, and then they weren't there. Well, now we're gonna find time when you're over, because I need to meet who you are, right? I want to find out who is this person, right? And that's the same thing sitting at the home on the table or on virtual, right? We're gonna resolve this request for coverage, and I know that you've had that from early on. What do you think? Yeah. Where did that come from for you?
I think as far as resolving leads, when I started, I didn't have any money. Like I mentioned, I quit my job like an idiot, right? So I had no money, and then I had to figure out how to get leads. And so what I would do, what I did probably for the first 3 months of doing this was I would dial all my leads. And I heard Sean say on a call early on, he was like, I made everyone tell me no over the phone and in person. So what I would do is I'd dial all day. I'd get up to our office in South Carolina at 8 a.m. Or actually what I would do is once a week I would drive down to Atlanta. So is anyone here from the South at all or no? You are. So like Atlanta to South Carolina is like 4 hours, right? So I would drive down there once a week though, and this is what they always did. I think I was just maybe naive in the beginning, but I would just go into someone's office. Like if Grady was in there dialing, I would go, hey dude, I'm going to sit in here, and can you just tell me what I'm doing wrong on the phone? Like I didn't really ask him. I was like, I'm going to sit in here. And so I would just find different people to go sit in the office with and dial like in front of them. And I think half of them looked at me like, dude, are you serious? And I just didn't care. I was like, I'm just trying to figure this out. So I would go down there, sit with them. I'd dial all day, go home. And then I would leave them open my Sunday and put all my leads into Road Warrior for every single person that told me no on the phone or didn't answer. And I'd go door knock them all day long. And so out of necessity, I had to, because I needed to make it work, right?
Yeah.
But it also taught me to resolve all my leads, and I kept doing that even after. And then as you're building a team, resolving leads to me became, if I worked them and they told me no, then I would give them to other people on my team. And that was a big wake-up call. This girl on my team named Brittany Jarrett, who helps 800 families a year. I remember I was running in my backyard where my parents were from, this town called Grand Junction, Colorado, where she also lives out there. And I would run all my leads.
Did you know her before the business?
No, I didn't.
How'd you connect with her?
She filled out a cold market recruiting ad.
Everything works a little bit.
Everything works a little bit, right? And then her whole team's warm market, right?
Got it.
But I was like, dude, my parents have lived here forever. Like a lot of people know my dad because he's a doctor. So I thought I would sell everyone there. And I did well selling out there. And I gave her a stack of leads, and I was like, dude, here, take these, whatever. And there was like 8 of them I didn't sell. And she's like, that was great. I helped all 8 of those families. I was like, what the heck? I suck. Like I really suck at this. And, but it taught me a lot, like as far as resolving leads, it doesn't always have to be you. You give them to other people, and they didn't like me for whatever reason. Probably for a lot of reasons. And then she showed up and was much nicer and got him coverage, or she was more assertive and got him coverage, or whatever it was, right?
Timing. They were in a good mood.
Yeah, they stubbed their toe when I came over. I didn't brush my teeth. I don't know. Whatever happened, they didn't like me, right? And then she shows up, and so that's another way to resolve your leads. And that's what we've done a lot of too. Is like if you don't help a family, like don't think you're that good. Someone else is going to go help them. And I've talked to Easton and Jake and a lot of other people who sell at a really high level and protect a lot of families. And same thing, they give it to other agents, brand new agents, go out there and help someone that they couldn't close. And so I think that's it's important to keep recycling leads and giving leads to agents on your team that you don't close.
That's great. Let's push on that more. Let's talk about leads. So that one of the known facts across the entire company is that the Zach Twardowski agency, aka FFL Capital, aka FFL Mile High, has the highest IP has the highest families protected per agent. Okay, what do you think are a few things, the one thing? There's 17 things, Grady. I can't put my number on it. What do you think is a reasoning that is because it is, and what are some other things you think that you see other agencies doing that could go? It's a couple simple tweaks, and everybody will produce more.
I think a lot of people address things that agents think are the issue, but are not the issue. So like sometimes people ask a question and it's just the wrong question, and you answer it. And if you answer it, you're doing them a disservice, right? So if an agent calls me and they go, hey, I'd like to go through your in-home, a lot of people's tendency is to go, okay, let's go through your in-home. But do you know what my first question is, Grady?
What's your first question, Zach?
How many appointments did you run this week?
Got it.
If they go, I ran 2 and I closed 1, I'm like, dude, your closing percentage is way better than mine was, bro. Good job. We don't need to talk about anything in-home. We need to talk about phone scripts or leads or whatever. And I try to find the real problem, right? And I think you said our agency is known for that. I really do feel very lucky. I work with a lot of people who are actually a lot better than I ever was in the home, which really helps, right?
Yeah.
And I work with a lot of people who are very humble. So I can't take any of the credit for it. Like a lot of our team's just very humble. And I remember early on, Sean was like, hey, you guys are selling a lot. This can go a couple of different ways for you. You can either... Some people, when you're selling a lot, will go, yep, I'm really good. And they'll start reading the press clippings and let go of their head. And they'll go, yeah, I actually am good. Like I'm some sales guru, like time to write a book. It's like, dude, it's selling insurance. They ask for insurance. You don't need to write a freaking book. It's all good on insurance. Like, why don't you actually just tell people what you're doing and tell them it's not that hard, right? Like if it's actually something like you have a cool story or something, like yes, write a book, but not on selling final expense insurance. They filled out a form, you went and saw them, all good, right? And so like a lot of people tend to like let it go to their head and they're like, I am this sales guru person, right? He's like, why don't you guys just be honest with people and tell them you're not that good and you just outwork everyone? And the only key to success is 30 appointments a week, right? So a lot of what we focus on with new agents is just teaching them how to get to 30 appointments a week as fast as they can. And some agents need to run more than that. So like we were talking, there's a agent on our team who's new, has been here 2 months, and he's helped 70 families this last month, right?
Wow.
But he was running 50 appointments a week for the first 3 months he was here, and then it clicked this month, right? But the first couple months when he was running 50 appointments a week, he was helping 15 families a month, but it caught up to him and clicked because he needed more appointments to get to the same level. So to go back to the original point, Grady, a mistake a lot of people make is someone will go, I need to talk to you about in-home, and they'll just engage without asking any more questions, right? So you have to diagnose where the agent is having the issue at and then solve that problem. So like this, so for that example, if it's someone who's like, you're like, I need help with in-home, and you ran 30 appointments and you sat with 20 people and you only helped 2 families, then we're going to talk about in-home, and I'm going to go through and have you pull out all your financial inventory sheets and walk me through each individual appointment so I can figure out what you did wrong, right?
Got it.
If you booked 30 appointments and you only sat with 5 of them and you helped 3 families from there, I'm like, dude, that's all good. Like your in-home's good. We have to fix whatever you're doing wrong on the phone. We got to get you on Zoom, whatever the case is. So I think it's just about finding the real issue and not addressing the fake symptom that people are having, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like Mike Hillman always used to have the numbers, the slash, number slash, number slash.
We do that.
You just still do that?
Yeah.
Will you break that down? Because that's always, when Mike actually explained it the one time, I was like, that actually is quite brilliant, the way that how you diagnose the numbers versus diagnosing what they're saying. Yeah,
and it makes it because dude, I want to believe in everyone, and I do believe in everyone, but I want to like root for everyone. So it makes it really hard sometimes because some people have a really good story, right? And it's like every week, like you got a nail in their tire, or this came up, or that came up, or there's always something, and you always want to feel for people. But what helps us a lot with numbers is we have people every week when we do our submit numbers on on Sunday night and Wednesday night, people put how many appointments they ran, how many people they sat with, how many totally families they protected, and how many applications that was.
Okay.
And so what that allows me to do as a manager is go through and look and go, okay, this agent ran 30 appointments and sat with 7 people. And I can look through our Slack, and I was doing it this morning on the way to the office. I called a few people in there. I'm like, hey, I saw this is what happened last week. Do you want to go over everything? And I don't call them. I don't give unsolicited advice either, Grady. I don't call and go, hey, let me help you fix your in-home. I'm like, hey, do you need help with anything? And I know the answer. I'm like, you ran 30 appointments and wrote 2 apps. You need help. I just want to see if they want the help or not.
Got it.
And I still have to ask them for it. So, but it makes it really easy to diagnose the issues too. Or if you call me and you ran 6 appointments this week and you helped 3 families, and you're calling me, I already know because I've seen it. And I'm like, okay, like if Grady's about to start complaining about his in-home or anything else like that, I already know that the issue is he just didn't work at all last week.
Got it. I mean, it makes it so much more simple. And then you can also diagnose if you see family sat, dials made, and then how many contacts. I mean, you analyze, you can see the problem based on the numbers, right? So if they're sitting with 10 families, booking 30 appointments, sitting with 10 families, closing 2, problems the in-home, right? Sitting with booking 30 appointments, sitting with 20 families, closing 2, problems the in-home. Sitting 20 families, there's no problem if the numbers go up. And so it's a way where
it's like a Moneyball approach, right?
Yeah.
It's very statistical, and it allows you to see through. Like sometimes it's hard to see because maybe you have a friend you work with, and you're like, dude, they seem like they're really trying hard. But then you look at it, and you're like, well, they must not be trying hard because they're not running 30 appointments a week,
And you got friends outside of the business who they say they're trying hard and they golf 3 times a week.
They golf 3 times a week.
You're like, oh, I'd like to golf 3 times a week, but I have a company I'm running. So
exactly.
So Jeremy Giambi, Moneyball approach. That was very, see, there you go, guys. This is good stuff. So, all right.
So it's all, to wrap up that point, Grady, it's all just driving people back to doing the right activity. If I can get people to do the right activity, then I can fix the easiest thing to fix is the in-home, right? Or the over the phone sale or whatever you guys are, because we have a lot of people doing virtual sales too. It's very easy to fix the presentation portion, right? What's harder to do is get people to do the right activity and either get the appointment or get on the phone and start the presentation. So I'm just trying to drive people to have the right activity, and then I can fix whatever they're saying to the client. Rather than a lot of people try to fix what they're saying to the client, and that part doesn't matter. And even getting new agents started, like people will be like, hey, can we go over in-home? I'm like, dude, we're not going over in-home until you book 15 appointments.
It's great.
And I stand firm on that because it's a waste of conversation. It's a waste of your time as a manager. If someone books 2 appointments, they can go in there and they'll probably help one of them, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing to talk about in-home wise until we get the right activity. And that also incentivizes agents to then get the right activity because then they can have the conversation with you about the in-home, which is what they want to do anyways.
If you have a group of brand new agents, is there any specific different lead mix you use based on 1 or 2 or 3 different scenarios?
It depends if they have, if someone comes in and has a ton of expendable income, it might be a different story, but I like agents to get as many leads as they can for as little as possible. So I'm a big fan of, the 1 in 3 month internet leads, age mortgage, age final expense leads.
Got it.
And really that way, I talked about it like this. It's like, Grady, your first month here is going to be like a learning process. It's going to be like paid training, right? You're going to be going through and making a lot of phone calls and getting proficient skills on the phone and through your presentation. Once you get that stuff down, then we can make sure we can get you more expensive leads as we want to work. Some people want to work the inexpensive ones forever, but it does not help me. It doesn't help you if I give you a $60 lead and you don't know what you're doing. You call it and they don't answer the phone. Then you throw your phone against the wall and you want to quit, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to care. You're going to have 12 chances at it with a $4 lead.
Yeah.
So I like your chances a lot better, and it's going to help you develop the proficient skill set that if you decide you want to work more expensive leads later, it'll actually be worth it. Because in the beginning, it's not the leads. It's you have to develop your skills as, an insurance professional.
Yeah, that's great. So, I do pretty much the same thing, and I go, if you live in a populous city, we can get leads and you can run local. If you live in middle of nowhere and there's the next closest town is 2.5 hours away, we should probably start virtual.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, but a lot of agents have those questions. And the biggest thing that I think if you've taken anything away from Zach is let's get to 15 appointments booked as fast as possible. Then we can tweak some stuff, and let's get you in the field running 100 appointments as fast as possible, so then we can tweak some stuff. And like there's all this correction that wants to be made before the action's even started, and it's just not possible. We can't correct what you don't know how to do yet. We don't know. We can't correct what you don't know how to do wrong yet, and we can't improve what you don't already know how to do right. So that was great, Zach. Thank you so much.
To go on the virtual point, what we've been doing with a lot of agents is, hey, why don't you get leads local to you, call them, see if they want to do it over the phone. If they do, close it over the phone. If they don't, go see them in person. And that way you can get both things in, and then you can see which one you like and gravitate more towards, and then you can move towards that one. So that's what we've been doing. A lot of people, and on dial days, they're closing over the phone, they go run in person. And then after a couple of weeks of doing that, some agents will be like, I want to do all virtual. Some agents want to do it in the field. Some agents want to keep doing a mixture of both.
Yeah.
That's how we're giving people the opportunity to try both ways.
Awesome, bro. Awesome.